Do you have advice on how to handle being misgendered? Sort of. I think that the way you handle being misgendered is going to depend on you, how resourced you are, what the situation is, and what kind of misgendering it is. I think that there are a lot of different kinds of misgendering. There are people who know your correct pronouns and they should be using them, and they have a brain fart and something different comes out. There are people who should know your pronouns and be using them, and they purposely choose not to. There are people who struggle a lot with pronouns in general and then get yours wrong. There are people who misgender you on purpose. There are people who don't know you and make an assumption about what your gender is, so they misgender you. How I might respond to any of those is going to vary depending on the day. I think also, is the person sorry about it? Do they feel bad, or are they making it my problem? In general, if I am internally well-resourced, I try to be as generous and kind as possible while being firm about what's going on. And I also pick my battles a lot with misgendering. If I'm on the phone with the VA and the person keeps calling me ma'am, I have tried so many times with the VA to get them to use my correct pronouns and honorifics. I've tried so many times, and it is not really changing. Through the infectious disease clinic, which is where I get my prep, I met a really awesome nurse who's doing a project with the VA to get people's pronouns into their records to try to help reduce misgendering. And so I'll be talking with him and seeing how it goes with my records. But I can tell you right now that I have yet to encounter a VA clinic where the people who work the appointment lines or the phone lines are capable of doing anything but misgendering me. It's just what it is. And so there have been times where I've tried to correct them or ask them how to get stuff corrected. And then there are times where I just do not even bother because I don't have the energy and it's not worth it to me. If someone is being a dick about misgendering me, they're doing it on purpose, again, depends on the situation. But if I feel relatively safe being a dick back, I will. Because here's the thing. I owe you a certain degree of respect until you break that. It's a peace treaty, right? The thing is that tolerance is a peace treaty. And so if you're being a jerk, I get to be a jerk back. That is how that goes. And so, if someone is doing it on purpose, I might point out to them just how weird and silly that is. What are you doing? Why are you doing that? Do you really have nothing better to do with your life than try to make other people feel bad? I feel sad for you. I have so much in my life. I would never spend this much time just trying to make someone feel bad. So maybe you should go find something worth being happy about. I don't know. Sounds like you have a sad life. Sorry for you. And I think, again, are you worried about them trying to hurt you? Maybe let it go. Are you worried about things escalating in a bad way? Maybe you let it go. I think that there is no right way to handle being misgendered. I think it is very person by person, situation by situation. And you are the only person who will know what feels safe to you and accessible to you in that situation. I do think that if you're someone who gets misgendered a lot or you're worried about getting misgendered, it can be helpful to practice different things you might say in different kinds of situations with a friend or someone you trust so that you don't have to figure that out on the fly. So you can grab a friend and be like, hey, I want to practice what to say if some jerk misgenders me on purpose and I feel safe enough talking back. So you can try out a few different things and see how they feel and see what feels empowering to you, what feels good to you, what feels like it's in alignment with who you are and how you want to do things. I also think that it can be really helpful to figure out what you want to do if you feel like it's not safe and you need to get away. I posted a long time ago, and Allie, maybe you'll be able to find it, a really great document online about dealing with transphobic harassment for trans women. And one of the things that talked about was that if you are a trans woman who is encountering transphobic people in public who are being, verbally violent towards you or threatening physical violence, you probably should assume that nobody's going to help you because they don't tend to. Realistically, most people do not try to help trans folks who are facing people that are being awful to them. They just don't. Most cis people they think in their hearts that they care a lot about trans people and would help them, but that is not what I see in general. And in fact, a lot of cis people have no idea about all of the various kinds of threats that trans people face. Just like in this past week, I explained to one of my sweeties, who's a cis person, about who Jesse Singal is and why he's awful and should have been banned on Blue Sky and was not. And like all of the things that he has done to incite transphobic violence and incite harassment of trans people, that he was quoting stuff from Kiwi Farms. This person had never heard of Kiwi Farms, which like the privilege that I envy in you to have never heard of Kiwi Farms, because let me tell you, every trans person who's been on the internet for any amount of time knows about Kiwi Farms and how dangerous it is. And so like if you're being misgendered in public, most likely anyone who isn't trans or non-binary is not going to help you out. And so you need to figure out what you need to keep yourself safe. And resources like that self-defense guide for trans women can be really helpful to give you concrete ideas and skills about getting yourself out of those situations and keeping yourself safe. Misgendering, I think that there's this way that a lot of theoretically well-meaning cis people have this idea that like if they misgender someone, they're going to get pilloried and that's the worst thing that could happen. And like most of the time, if someone misgenders me and I can tell that it was like just a genuine mistake and like there's no reason they should know my pronouns, or like it seems like they just had a brain fart, like I'm not going to be upset with them and go off on them. I'm just going to be like, hey, they, them, actually, thanks. The thing is that a lot of people get so caught up in their own shame about misgendering people who are like lefties and progressives that they then make me like comfort them about it, or they like preemptively just don't even try or feel like it's pointless to try because people will get upset with them. Misgendering happens all the time for a variety of different reasons. And like, I have a lot of leeway I'm willing to give people who I think are like genuinely trying and well-meaning. And there are lots of ways to be a jerk around misgendering. One of them is purposefully misgendering people. Another way is to accidentally misgender someone and then do this huge apology tour that makes them need to comfort you for you having misgendered them and feeling bad about it. Don't do that either. And if someone did misgender you and all of a sudden like, I'm so sorry, I feel terrible, I can't believe I did that, I work so hard, I care about trans people so much, my cousin is trans and I really support that cousin, you know, she was born a man and now she's trans, like just, you can cut those people off at any time and be like, hey, I appreciate your apology, let's move on. I don't need this. Yeah, I appreciate your apology, let's move forward. Oh, are we okay? The longer you talk about this, the less okay we are. The more that you require me to comfort you for misgendering me, the less okay we are, because now it's about you and not about me. So like, let's move on. Let's just move forward, right? And again, different situations, different amounts of firmness, different amounts of straightforward that you can be. So like, figure out your own stance, figure out what's right for you.